My grandmother, Davis, my father's mother, they were staunch Democrats. And they had big pictures of Franklin Roosevelt hanging up all over the house because Franklin Roosevelt had pulled them out of the Depression and they were starving at one time because they were poor folks. And they, so she hung all these pictures all over the house. And one of the uncles was a member of the CCC, which was a organization that Franklin Roosevelt set up to help poor people. So they thought Roosevelt was wonderful, just wonderful. And if you went in that house, you knew because there were pictures on every wall of Roosevelt. And my grandfather on my mother's side, my mother's father, he was a staunch, die-hard Republican. I mean, he got up every morning. Oh, he hated Roosevelt. Of course, Roosevelt was in power at that time. He was president. And he'd get up, open up the newspaper and say, that goddamn Roosevelt, you know. And every morning at breakfast, that's what we heard about what that goddamn Roosevelt had done the night before or the day before or whatever. Of course, he saw cattle killed, and that's what Roosevelt did to bring them out of the Depression. And he hated that. And then the war came along, and all 5 of his sons went to war. So he didn't like that either. He blamed Roosevelt for that. But I was in the 7th grade before I knew that Roosevelt had a first name. I thought his first name was goddamn. I came home one afternoon and I said, Grandmother, do you know what Roosevelt's first name is? And she said, yes. And I said, what is it? And she said, Franklin Delano. And I said, I thought it was goddamn. She said, oh, have you been going to school ever getting that? But I did. I literally thought that until about 7th grade. Oh, teaching makes you appreciate people. And you realize that everybody has something to learn, something to offer. I had a young man. He's a pitcher on the baseball team. And we were in class one day, and he said, Miss Stanley, I have a problem. And I said, what is your problem? And he said, I know what's right here. I can get the answer here, but I can't put it here. I can't get it from here to here. Can you help me? And I said, well, if I can't, I'll find somebody who can. So he said, I'll be willing to come early or stay late or whatever I have to do, but I want to be able to write down. I know the answer. I know the right answer. And sure enough, he could pass an oral quiz just easily, but he couldn't write it down. So first I went to the counselor. There are lots of things wrong with public schools, a lot of things. But I went to the counselor and I told her the same story. And she said, oh, I don't know. She said, is he passing? I said, well, yes, he's passing, but that's not the problem. And she said, oh, just passing, send him on. She said, he's a baseball player. He'll be fine. I said, he doesn't want that. He wants to progress, you know. Well, she blew me off. So I went to the vice principal next, I guess, and told him the same story, and he gave me the same blow off. He said, oh, he's a baseball player. He said, he's going to do fine. He said, probably get a pitching contract somewhere, and you don't have to worry about him, you know. And I said, that's not the point. The point is the boy wants something done, and I want to know what to tell him. Well, I went all the way, finally went into the principal's office and said, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And I told him the story. And I said, and I am calling the newspaper next. I'm going to tell the newspaper the story. And I can get this story published because I know the people down at the newspaper. And he said, close the door and sit down. And I said, okay, but I'm telling you, I'm not leaving here until you find out what I can do for him. So he did. He called around and we got a learning specialist to help him with his problem. He's manager of one of the department stores there in Lubbock and has done pretty well. He says he still has some trouble, you know, but he's certainly further along than to ignore him and say, you know, but public schools back during that time were not the whole answer. There's something about managing a classroom. The first thing you have to do is you have to like people. You have to like people. And then second, you have to let them know that you like them. Teaching it was an accident. I didn't plan to teach. Got in it accidentally. But it's the best thing that ever happened to me, by far. Now, my David is, everybody he meets is a friend. He would think you were his best friend and would tell me how much he liked you if he met you. That's just Dave. Kim, on the other hand, is very shy. And they're very different, but they're very, very fond of each other. Kim was always the smartest child in the room. She's very bright. And I didn't tell her that because I think that's not good sometimes. So one day she came home from school and she said, Mama, do you think maybe I'm copying from the people around me? Do you think I would do that? And I said, no, I don't think you would do that. Why? She said, well, why do I always make A's? And they're not making A's like I am. And I said, and I thought, you little dumb bunny, how would they be making A's if you're copying off of them, But lots of funny little stories like that. And then Dave, he's adventurous, very. And he told me not long ago, this would have just horrified me had I known it. There are storm drains under Lubbock. It's a pretty good sized city, and storm drains like as tunnels as big as the door, And he said, well, it reminds me of the time that me and Greg and Joe and whoever else, we went down in the tunnels. And I said, you did what? And he said, yeah. He said, the gate was open, so we just went as far as the tunnels would let us go. And I said, where did you want, where? And he said, well, on the other side of town, you finally come to the courthouse. I said, how did you know it was the courthouse? And he said, it had a label on the gate. Well, if it had had a sudden rain, they'd have drowned, Or what if the workmen had come by and locked that gate, But that's Dave. Well, that's just typical Dave. He's the one who will try anything. I was not adventurous like that. I wouldn't ever put myself in danger, And Kim wouldn't either. But that's just Dave. And he and Fred would not have seen eye to eye on that. I think happiness is the key to a good life. Money is not important to this family. And what you choose to do is important only if it makes you happy. And you need to not only make yourself happy, but work at making other people happy. And just the other day I asked Dave what he thought was the most important thing, and that was his answer to me. He said, I think being happy is the important thing. And they are happy. They're happy little people.